Hey there, it's Dr. J, and I want to start today by asking you a question that I've been getting constantly in my clinic, in my emails, and all over social media. People keep asking me about eggs, and I'm not talking about just eating one egg with breakfast. I'm talking about the people who've decided that 4 eggs a day is the answer to all their health problems. Some of you watching right now might be one of those people. You might be sitting there, drinking your morning coffee, wondering if those 4 eggs you're about to scramble up are going to make you bulletproof or if they're going to send you straight to the emergency room. Well, today we're going to talk about exactly what happens when you eat 4 eggs every single day. And I'm going to give you the truth, not the sensationalized version you see on TikTok or Instagram, but the actual science-backed truth that you deserve to know, especially if you're someone who cares deeply about your health and longevity. Now, before I dive into this, I want you to know that I've spent the last 20 years studying nutrition, cardiovascular health, and what foods actually do to your body at a cellular level. And eggs, believe it or not, are one of the most controversial foods in modern nutrition. Some people will tell you they're nature's perfect food, basically a multivitamin in a shell. Other people will tell you that eating eggs is basically like smoking cigarettes because of the cholesterol content. And then you've got people like me who look at the actual research and try to separate fact from fiction. So stick with me for the next few minutes because we're going to go deep into what 4 eggs a day actually does to your body, your cholesterol levels, your heart health, your brain health, and whether this is something that makes sense for you or if you should pump the brakes. Let me start with the most important part of this conversation. When you eat an egg, what exactly are you eating? People don't really think about this. They just crack it open, throw it in a pan, and go about their day. But there's a lot happening in that little package. An egg is basically a concentrated source of protein, fat, vitamins, and minerals, all wrapped up in a shell. We're talking about roughly 6 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and less than 1 gram of carbohydrates in a large egg. But here's what makes eggs special. The protein in eggs is what we call a complete protein, which means it contains all 9 essential amino acids that your body needs. Your body cannot make these amino acids on its own. You have to get them from food. And eggs happen to be one of the best sources of complete protein that exists. Now, when you eat 4 eggs a day, you're looking at about 24 grams of protein just from the eggs alone. That's significant. That's more protein than most people get from their entire breakfast. But let's talk about what's probably bothering you the most, and that's the cholesterol question. This is where things get really interesting, because the cholesterol question is the thing that's been scaring people away from eggs for decades. A single large egg contains about 186 milligrams of cholesterol. Most of that cholesterol is in the yolk. So if you eat 4 eggs a day, you're looking at about 744 milligrams of dietary cholesterol. Now, if you're watching this and you're over the age of 50, you probably remember being told by your doctor that you should limit your cholesterol intake to 300 milligrams a day. You might still believe that. A lot of people do. But here's where I need to give you a reality check. The science on dietary cholesterol has changed dramatically over the past 15 years, and most healthcare providers haven't caught up with that science. The idea that dietary cholesterol directly translates into blood cholesterol has been largely debunked. Let me explain why. Your body makes cholesterol. A lot of it, we're talking about somewhere between 800 and 1,000 milligrams of cholesterol every single day inside your liver. That's way more than you're going to eat from any food source. So here's what happens. When you eat cholesterol, your body actually produces less cholesterol to compensate. It's a self-regulating system. That's not to say that dietary cholesterol has zero effect on your blood cholesterol levels, but the effect is much smaller than we thought, and it varies dramatically from person to person. Some people are what we call hyper-responders, which means their blood cholesterol goes up pretty significantly when they eat cholesterol-rich foods. Other people are hyper-responders, which means their blood cholesterol barely budges no matter how much dietary cholesterol they consume. You might be asking yourself right now, well, how do I know which one I am? That's a great question, and the answer is that you need to actually get your blood work done. You need to know your cholesterol numbers, your LDL, your HDL, your triglycerides. That's the only way to know how your body is responding to eggs or any other food. Let me tell you what the actual research shows. Multiple large studies, including the well-respected Framingham Heart Study, which followed thousands of people over decades, found that eating eggs was not associated with increased heart disease risk in most people. Some studies have even shown that eggs can be beneficial for heart health. Now, I know that might sound like a complete turnaround from what you've been told, but the science is actually pretty clear on this. The American Heart Association, which used to recommend limiting eggs, has softened their stance on eggs in recent years. They now acknowledge that eggs can be part of a healthy diet, even for people who have heart disease or high cholesterol. That said, for some people, eggs do increase LDL cholesterol, and that matters. If you're someone who has familial hypercholesterolemia, which is a genetic condition that causes very high cholesterol levels, or if you're someone whose cholesterol shoots up whenever you eat eggs, then 4 eggs a day might not be the best choice for you. Now, let's move beyond cholesterol because there's so much more happening in your body when you eat 4 eggs a day. Let's talk about the nutrients. Eggs are absolutely packed with nutrients that are really important for people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. They contain choline, which is a nutrient that most people don't get enough of. Choline is crucial for brain health. It's involved in the synthesis of acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter that's critical for memory and learning. Studies have shown that people who get adequate choline have better cognitive function and lower rates of cognitive decline as they age. Eggs are also one of the best dietary sources of lutein and zeaxanthin, which are carotenoids that accumulate in the retina of your eye and help protect against age-related macular degeneration. If you're someone who's worried about your vision as you get older, eggs are actually a pretty smart food to be eating. When you eat 4 eggs a day, you're also getting a significant amount of selenium, which is a mineral that plays a role in thyroid function and acts as an antioxidant in your body. You're getting vitamin D, particularly if you're eating eggs from pasture-raised or omega-3 enriched hens. You're getting B vitamins, including B12, which is something that a lot of people over 50 struggle to absorb from food because their stomach acid decreases with age. And you're getting high-quality fat that actually helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamins A, D, E, and K. So nutritionally speaking, 4 eggs a day is like taking a whole bunch of supplements all wrapped up in a little package. That's actually pretty cool. But let me tell you what happens to your body when you eat 4 eggs a day over a longer period of time. Let's say you do this for a month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. The first thing that most people notice is that they feel fuller for longer. Eggs are incredibly satiating because of their protein and fat content. When you eat 4 eggs in the morning, you're looking at a breakfast that contains about 24 grams of protein. That amount of protein takes a lot longer for your body to digest compared to, say, a bagel or a bowl of cereal. Because your digestive system is working harder and longer to break down the protein in the eggs, you get sustained energy throughout the morning, and you don't experience that blood sugar crash that you get after eating refined carbohydrates. This is actually really beneficial for weight management. Multiple studies have shown that people who eat a protein-rich breakfast tend to eat fewer calories throughout the day. They have fewer cravings, and they're more successful at maintaining a healthy weight or losing weight if that's their goal. When you're eating 4 eggs a day, you're also consuming about 20 grams of fat. Now, before you freak out about that, remember that fat is not the enemy. Your body needs fat. Your brain is made of fat. Your cell membranes are made of fat. Your hormones are made of fat. And the fat in eggs is actually really good quality fat. Eggs contain a mixture of saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat. The ratios vary depending on what the chicken was fed, but overall the fat profile in eggs is actually pretty healthy. The saturated fat in eggs is different from, say, the saturated fat in a Big Mac. It's been shown to have minimal impact on blood cholesterol in most people. Let me talk about what happens to your muscle mass when you eat 4 eggs a day. If you're over 50 and you're working out, or even if you're just doing light exercise, eating 4 eggs a day can be really beneficial for muscle maintenance and muscle building. This is important because one of the major issues that people face as they age is something called sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass and strength that happens with aging. It starts around age 30, but it accelerates dramatically after age 60. By the time you're in your 70s or 80s, you might lose as much as 3 to 5% of your muscle mass every year if you're not doing anything about it. The best way to prevent sarcopenia is to get adequate protein, do resistance training, and stay active. When you're eating 4 eggs a day, you're getting a significant amount of high-quality protein that your muscles can use to maintain themselves and repair themselves after exercise. So for older adults who are trying to preserve their muscle mass and maintain their independence, eggs are actually a really smart food. Now, let's talk about brain health because this is something that I think gets overlooked when we talk about nutrition for older adults. As we get older, cognitive decline is a real concern for a lot of people. People are worried about Alzheimer's, they're worried about memory loss, they're worried about not being as sharp as they used to be. Well, eggs might actually be helpful in preventing or slowing down cognitive decline. This is largely because of the choline content, as I mentioned earlier, but also because of the antioxidants in eggs. Eggs contain lutein and zeaxanthin, as I said, but they also contain other compounds that help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain. Inflammation and oxidative stress are two of the main drivers of neurodegeneration. So when you're eating foods that help reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, you're actually protecting your brain. Studies have shown that people who eat eggs regularly have better cognitive function on average compared to people who don't eat eggs. Now, is eating 4 eggs a day the difference between developing Alzheimer's and not developing Alzheimer's? Probably not. Alzheimer's is a complex disease that's influenced by genetics, lifestyle, diet, and a bunch of other factors. But eggs are definitely part of a brain-healthy diet. Let me tell you what some of the potential downsides are of eating 4 eggs a day, because I want to be completely honest with you. Even though eggs are nutritious and generally safe for most people, there are some situations where eating 4 eggs a day might not be ideal. The first situation is if you have an egg allergy or an intolerance. Some people have trouble digesting eggs. They might experience bloating, constipation, or other digestive issues. If that's you, then obviously you should not be eating 4 eggs a day. The second situation is if you have very high cholesterol levels that are significantly elevated due to genetics or other health conditions, and you're someone whose cholesterol levels go up when you eat eggs. If your doctor has done the testing and determined that eggs are causing your LDL cholesterol to go up in a significant way, then you might need to moderate your egg intake. But even in that situation, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to cut eggs out completely. It might just mean you eat 2 eggs instead of 4, or 3 eggs instead of 4. The third potential issue with eating 4 eggs a day is if you're eating them prepared in unhealthy ways. If you're frying those eggs in a bunch of butter or oil, and you're eating them with toast smothered in butter, and you're washing it down with sugary orange juice, then the issue isn't the eggs. The issue is the other stuff you're eating with the eggs. The preparation method matters. If you're boiling your eggs, scrambling them with a minimal amount of fat, or frying them in a small amount of olive oil, then you're keeping the nutritional profile pretty clean. But if you're loading them up with lots of fat, lots of salt, and lots of other calorie-dense foods, then 4 eggs a day might contribute to weight gain or other health problems. The fourth potential issue is if you're eating commercially produced eggs from chickens that are kept in terrible conditions and fed a terrible diet. The nutritional profile of eggs actually varies based on what the chicken was fed. Chickens that are pasture raised and fed a good diet produce eggs that are higher in omega-3 fatty acids, higher in vitamins, and generally more nutritious. If you can afford it, pasture-raised or omega-3 enriched eggs are a better choice than conventional eggs. That said, even conventional eggs are nutritious and safe. They're still a great food. But if you're going to be eating 4 eggs a day, and you have the means to do it, investing in higher quality eggs is probably a good idea. Let me talk about what happens to your heart when you eat 4 eggs a day. This is the big concern that people have. They think eggs are going to clog up their arteries and give them a heart attack. But actually, the research on this is pretty reassuring. A large meta-analysis that looked at data from multiple studies involving hundreds of thousands of people found that eating up to 1 egg per day was not associated with increased cardiovascular disease risk. Some studies have even suggested that eggs might have a protective effect against cardiovascular disease. Now, 1 egg a day is not 4 eggs a day, but the point is that eating eggs regularly doesn't cause heart disease in most people. That said, there are some studies that suggest that eating large amounts of eggs, particularly when combined with other risk factors like smoking, lack of exercise, poor diet, and high stress, might slightly increase cardiovascular disease risk. But if you're eating eggs as part of an otherwise healthy lifestyle, getting regular exercise, managing your stress, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, and not smoking, then eating 4 eggs a day is probably not going to significantly increase your cardiovascular disease risk. I think it's also important to talk about the environmental and ethical considerations of eating 4 eggs a day. If you're eating 4 eggs a day, that's about 28 eggs a week, which adds up to roughly 1,460 eggs a year. That's a lot of eggs. If you're concerned about animal welfare or the environmental impact of egg production, you might want to consider where your eggs are coming from. Pasture-raised eggs from chickens that are raised in good conditions with access to the outdoors are better from an animal welfare perspective and generally better for the environment. They might cost more, but if you can afford it, it's worth supporting that kind of farming. Now, let's get into what I think is really important for you to understand. Whether or not eating 4 eggs a day is a good idea for you depends entirely on your individual situation. And I know that's not the kind of clear-cut answer that people usually want to hear. People want me to say, eat 4 eggs a day and you'll live to be 100, or don't eat any eggs or you'll have a heart attack. But that's not how nutrition actually works. Nutrition is highly individual. It depends on your genetics, your current health status, your activity level, your family history, your personal food preferences, and a bunch of other factors. If you're a generally healthy person without a history of heart disease, without very high cholesterol levels, without an egg allergy or intolerance, and you actually enjoy eating eggs, then eating 4 eggs a day is probably fine for you. In fact, it might be beneficial. You'll get excellent protein, you'll get important micronutrients, you'll probably feel fuller and more satisfied, and you'll likely maintain better weight management and muscle mass. If you're someone with a history of heart disease, or if you have very high cholesterol levels that respond poorly to dietary cholesterol, then you might want to moderate your egg intake. You might do 2 eggs a day instead of 4, or 3 eggs a day, or maybe 4 eggs a couple of times a week instead of every day. If you have an egg allergy or intolerance, obviously don't eat eggs. But if you just feel like 4 eggs is too many for you, like you're getting bored with eggs or your digestive system is complaining, then just eat fewer eggs. The idea is to find a way of eating that works for you and that you can sustain long term, not to follow some arbitrary rule about eating a specific number of eggs. Here's something really important that I want you to understand. When we talk about the health effects of foods, we have to talk about the whole diet and the whole lifestyle. You could eat 4 eggs a day, but if your diet is otherwise full of ultra-processed foods, added sugars, and refined carbohydrates, and you're sedentary and stressed, then the eggs aren't going to save you. On the other hand, you could eat 4 eggs a day as part of a diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean proteins, and you're getting regular exercise, managing your stress, sleeping well, and not smoking, then the eggs are just one small part of a healthy lifestyle that's going to contribute to better health outcomes. Let me give you some practical advice about how to eat 4 eggs a day in a way that maximizes the benefits and minimizes any potential downsides. First, get your baseline blood work done. Get your cholesterol levels, your triglycerides, your fasting glucose, your other relevant markers. Then, start eating 4 eggs a day for about 6 to 8 weeks and get your blood work done again. This will tell you how your body is responding to the eggs. If your cholesterol goes up significantly, you might need to moderate your intake. If your cholesterol stays the same or goes down, and your other markers look good, then you know that 4 eggs a day is working well for you. Second, vary the way you prepare your eggs. Don't just eat scrambled eggs every single day for a year. Boil some eggs, poach some eggs, make an omelet with vegetables, make a frittata, bake eggs in a muffin tin with vegetables, whatever. Mixing up the preparation method keeps things interesting and makes it easier to sustain the habit long term. Third, don't just eat the eggs in isolation. Pair them with other healthy foods. If you're eating 4 eggs for breakfast, eat them with some whole grain toast and a piece of fruit. Or eat them with some vegetables and a small amount of healthy fat like avocado or nuts. This helps you get a more balanced meal and make sure you're getting a variety of nutrients. Fourth, consider the quality of the eggs that you're buying. If you can afford it, buy pasture-raised or omega-3 enriched eggs. These are going to be more nutritious and better for animal welfare. You might find them at your local farmer's market or at a grocery store that carries higher quality products. If you can't afford higher quality eggs, regular eggs are still fine. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Fifth, monitor how you're feeling. Pay attention to your energy levels, your mood, your digestion, your skin, your overall sense of well-being. If eating 4 eggs a day makes you feel great, then keep doing it. If it makes you feel sluggish, bloated, or otherwise unwell, then adjust your intake. Your body is constantly sending you signals, and it's important to listen to those signals. Now, I want to address something that I think a lot of people are confused about, and that's the difference between the egg white and the egg yolk. There's this idea that's been floating around for years that the egg white is healthy and the yolk is unhealthy because the yolk contains cholesterol and fat. But this is actually wrong. The yolk is where most of the nutrients are. The yolk contains the choline, the lutein, the zeaxanthin, the vitamin D, the vitamin B12, and most of the minerals. The white is mostly protein, and while protein is important, the yolk is actually the more nutritious part of the egg. So if you're eating eggs, eat the whole egg. Don't just eat the whites. Let me talk about some specific populations that might benefit from eating 4 eggs a day. If you're a senior who's struggling with muscle loss, eating 4 eggs a day could be really beneficial for you. The protein will help preserve muscle mass, and the other nutrients in the eggs will support your overall health. If you're someone who's trying to lose weight, eating 4 eggs for breakfast could help you eat fewer calories throughout the day because you'll feel fuller for longer. If you're someone who's concerned about cognitive decline, eating eggs regularly as part of a broader brain-healthy diet could be beneficial. If you're someone who's recovering from an illness or surgery, eggs are an easy-to-digest source of high-quality protein that can help you recover faster. On the other hand, there are some populations that probably shouldn't be eating 4 eggs a day. If you have a severe egg allergy, obviously don't eat eggs at all. If you have an autoimmune condition like rheumatoid arthritis, and you've noticed that eating eggs makes your symptoms worse, then you should probably avoid eggs. If you have a condition that requires you to restrict cholesterol intake, you might need to moderate your egg consumption. And if you have a history of high cholesterol or heart disease and you're genetically predisposed to having your cholesterol go up when you eat cholesterol-rich foods, you might need to be more cautious about how many eggs you eat. Here's something else that's really important. When we talk about the health effects of eggs, we need to separate the egg from the egg-containing foods. An egg by itself is a pretty healthy food. But when you take that egg and you make it into a commercial egg-based product like a frozen breakfast sandwich or an egg-based fast food breakfast item or a heavily processed egg product, then you're adding a lot of other stuff that might not be so healthy. We're talking about refined carbohydrates, added sugars, salt, trans fats, artificial preservatives, and other stuff. So if you're going to be eating 4 eggs a day, you're much better off preparing them yourself at home where you can control the ingredients. Let me talk about some of the myths about eggs that I think are really important to debunk. The first myth is that eggs will raise your cholesterol to dangerous levels. As I've explained, the effect of dietary cholesterol on blood cholesterol is much smaller than people think, and it varies from person to person. Most people can eat eggs without their cholesterol going up significantly. The second myth is that eating eggs will cause you to have a heart attack. The research does not support this. Eating eggs is not associated with increased heart disease risk in most people. The third myth is that you should only eat the egg white and not the yolk. This is wrong. The yolk contains most of the nutrients, and you should eat the whole egg. The fourth myth is that eggs are bad for you if you have high blood pressure. While some eggs are prepared with a lot of salt, which could be problematic for blood pressure, eggs in themselves are actually pretty low in sodium and contain potassium, which can help with blood pressure management. The fifth myth is that eggs are bad for your liver. There's actually no evidence that eggs damage the liver. In fact, the choline in eggs is important for liver health. I want to make sure you understand something really important. The science on eggs has changed over the last 15 to 20 years. The recommendations that your doctor gave you in 1995 or 2005 about limiting eggs might not be the current scientific consensus. And part of the problem is that medical schools don't do a great job of keeping doctors updated on the latest nutrition research. So some doctors are still recommending that people limit eggs, even though the research doesn't really support that recommendation anymore. This doesn't mean your doctor is wrong or incompetent. It just means that nutrition science is constantly evolving, and it takes time for that new information to filter down to clinical practice. Let me give you a summary of what happens when you eat 4 eggs every day. First, you get a lot of high-quality protein that helps build and maintain muscle mass, keeps you feeling full, and supports various functions in your body. Second, you get important micronutrients like choline, which supports brain health, lutein and zeaxanthin, which support eye health, and various B vitamins and minerals that support overall health. Third, you get sustained energy and better appetite control, which can help with weight management. Fourth, your cholesterol levels might go up slightly, or they might not change at all, depending on your genetics and how your body responds to dietary cholesterol. In most people, any increase in cholesterol is minimal and not associated with increased disease risk. Fifth, you might feel more energetic, more focused, less hungry, and generally better because you're eating a nutrient-dense food that your body knows how to use. The key thing to remember is that eating 4 eggs a day is not inherently good or bad. It depends on your individual situation. For some people, it might be a great addition to their diet that helps them feel better and supports their health goals. For other people, it might not be ideal. The only way to know for sure is to try it. Get your blood work done, monitor how you feel, and make an informed decision based on actual data about your body, not on general recommendations that might not apply to you. If you do decide to eat 4 eggs a day, I'd encourage you to do it as part of a broader healthy lifestyle. Get regular exercise, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, manage your stress, get enough sleep, don't smoke, and limit your alcohol consumption. Eat a variety of foods so you're getting a broad spectrum of nutrients, and get your blood work done regularly so you know how your body is responding to what you're eating. The bottom line is this: eggs are a nutritious, affordable, versatile food that most people can safely eat regularly. Eating 4 eggs a day is not going to cause you to have a heart attack or to immediately develop high cholesterol. It's also not going to be a magic bullet that cures all your health problems. It's just one component of a healthy diet and lifestyle. If you like eggs and they make you feel good, then eating 4 eggs a day is probably fine for you. If you don't like eggs, or if you've noticed that they make you feel sick, or if you have a medical condition that makes eggs inadvisable for you, then don't eat them. The goal is to find an approach to nutrition that works for you, that you can sustain long-term, and that supports your health and well-being. I've been practicing medicine for over 20 years, and I can tell you that the people who do the best are not the people who follow some strict dietary rule. They're the people who understand the principles of nutrition, who pay attention to how their body responds to different foods, who are flexible and willing to adjust based on their individual circumstances, and who focus on overall lifestyle rather than just fixating on one food. Eggs are a good food, but they're not the only good food, and eating 4 eggs a day is fine for some people, but it's not the right choice for everyone. So here's what I want you to do. If you've been wondering about whether 4 eggs a day is right for you, I want you to get your blood work done first. I want you to know your baseline cholesterol levels, your triglycerides, your fasting glucose, and any other relevant markers. Then, try eating 4 eggs a day for 6 to 8 weeks and get your blood work done again. See how your body responds. Monitor how you feel. Do you have more energy? Do you feel fuller for longer? Do your clothes fit differently? Pay attention to these things. And then, based on the data and how you feel, make a decision about whether 4 eggs a day is right for you going forward. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and your attention. If you found this video helpful, I'd love for you to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below letting me know what you thought. Have you been eating 4 eggs a day? What's been your experience? I read and reply to as many comments as I can, and I love hearing from my viewers. If you have any questions about eggs or nutrition in general, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you haven't already subscribed to the USA Senior Care channel, I'd really encourage you to do so. We post videos about health and nutrition topics every single week, and they're specifically designed for people who are 50 and older and who are serious about maintaining their health, preventing disease, and living a long, healthy, independent life. So subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.